For the provisional crochet cast on, we're going to need a crochet hook, our main needles, and then also scrap yarn that is a similar or the same weight as our main yarn. What we're going to do first is, with our scrap yarn, going to create a slip knot with a decent tail. And then we're going to place that slip knot onto our crochet hook. And we're going to take knitting needle. We're going to hold the tail with the knitting needle to hold that tail secure. And then what we're going to do is bring our crochet hook under the working yarn, grab it with the hook, and pull it back through the slip knot that's on our crochet hook. And that's our first stitch cast on. Now we're going to bring the working yarn to the back of the knitting needle again, grab the yarn with our hook, bring it through the loop on our crochet hook. We're going to continue that until we have the number of stitches that we need to cast on. Once we have the correct number of stitches cast on, we can work some more slip stitches solely through this loop that's on the crochet hook. So you're going to grab the yarn and bring it straight through the loop. Just gonna do that a couple times. Then we can cut our yarn and pull it through the last chain there all the way, but you don't want to tighten this up or else it'll be hard to undo later. So now what we can do is we can grab our main yarn and start knitting normally into these stitches that we have on our needle. Going to purl back. Now once we reach the third row, we're going to pause, we turn it around, and we look at our provisional cast on. Each of these loops is a stitch. You can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we have a half stitch. Now, I cast on 10 stitches, and when we unravel the cast on, we're going to want the same number that we cast on. There are a couple ways to regain our last stitch. Going to show you one way. So I have the tail of my first row. I have the working yarn here. Going to take the tail and wrap it over the working yarn. And then I'm going to continue with my third row with the working yarn. So now we have another loop here that is secured. And then you can continue working the number of rows that you need to work. Once we're ready to pick up the live stitches from the cast on edge, we are going to need to turn our work around so the cast on edge is at the top, and we can see each of our stitches here at the top that we're going to need to pick up. I have my first one here, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and then my 10th is here in that little half stitch that we made a full loop. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the right loop of each of those stitches from the back. I'm going to come in to the back of my first stitch, pull up the right loop of the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. And you're going to want to double check that you have the correct number of stitches before pulling out your cast on. But once you're ready to undo the cast on, we'll go to the end of our cast on, that chain that we pulled the loop through. We can undo that loop. And we can just pull it out. Okay, now we have our 10 stitches, and now you can continue working from these stitches. In order to turn the provisional cast on into a hem, the needle that you pick up the live stitches with can be either another needle the same size as your main needle or a smaller needle. It really doesn't matter. What we're going to do is turn our work so that the provisional cast on, so that the live stitches are to the back and the wrong side is facing us. And then we can fold the front needle to be parallel with the live stitches on the back needle. Just going to knit together one stitch from our front needle, one stitch from the live stitches we picked up. We're just going to knit them both together, pull them off, knit the next 2 stitches together, pull them off, and continue that until the end. So now I have finished knitting them together, and now we're back to 10 stitches again. We had 10 on the front needle, 10 on the back needle, and knitting them together we now only have 10. So this is the right side of the work. If I turn it around, you can see this is what the wrong side looks like.